Trump almost backed off of his China tariffs until he remembered that the only thing scary to him than inflation or economic collapse is looking like a loser. So now he's back to pretending that he never even blinked, and that doubling down on disaster is a sign of strength.
Caroline, let's see if we can break a little news here. What's the timetable for the reduction in the tariffs against China? The president was ambiguous about it. Scott Bessent seemed to suggest it wouldn't happen until negotiations are at least underway.
Let me be clear. There will be no unilateral reduction in tariffs against China. The president has made it clear China needs to make a deal with the United States of America, and we are optimistic that will happen. And when that continues, it will be up to the president what the tariff rate on China will be. But we certainly need to see a reduction in tariffs and non-monetary tariff barriers from China as well. And we also need to continue seeing these companies abroad return their manufacturing to the United States of America, so we can shore up these critical supply chains.
Caroline Levitt's out here saying there's no rollbacks, no changes, because Trump changed his mind about changing his mind. He backed off the tariffs, then backed off, backing off, just so he wouldn't look soft. It's like setting your house on fire, grabbing some water, then telling everybody, actually, I meant to do that. So now the plan is let the economy burn, as long as he looks tough doing it.
Were you worried about what the 145% tariffs were doing to small businesses here in the U.S.? Is that why you're bringing it down?
No. I haven't brought it down. I haven't brought it still 145. I haven't brought it down. I said it's a high tariff. It is a high tariff, but I haven't brought it down. It basically means China's not doing any business with us, essentially, because it's a very high number. So when you add that to the price of a product, a lot of those products aren't going to sell.
Trump says China's doing no business with us. Then, in the very next breath, he complains that they used to do $1.1 trillion in trade. So which one is it? No business or $1 trillion worth of no business? MAGA supporters can't even follow this logic, even though they've been told that everything he says is scripture. It's like watching someone argue that 2 + 2 is 5, then they congratulate themselves for inventing math. Kind of like when he invented the word groceries.
There is a concern among many of us that small businesses will suffer first. They have operating capital for 2 or 4 weeks, not 2 or 4 years. And many of them rely on the larger retailers to buy their goods and then resell them or to make their own businesses work. So that's a concern. There are things that we simply cannot make in this country. We can't harvest cocoa. We can't make tequila. That's a blue agave plant in Jalisco, Mexico. Almost 100% of all the fireworks for all these great celebrations for President Trump's presidency and for America's upcoming birthday, those are made in China.
Even Kellyanne Conway, who infamously introduced alternative facts to describe Trump's distance from reality, she's waving a red flag and warning that small businesses can't survive all this. And they got 2 weeks of runway. That's it. No cushion or bailout. No margin for these ego-driven trade wars. But the Trump crew is still going full speed ahead, because when you're governing by pride instead of policy and have always been bailed out of countless destructive decisions, consequences are for other people.
I mean, I've been in finance for 40 years. This is probably the biggest manufactured crisis I've seen, with a bunch of unforced errors. The execution of Liberation Day was pathetic. I mean, you have Kevin Hassett in 2019 be very clear, trade wars are bad, tariffs are a tax. Steve Moore, another Trump advisor, trade wars are bad, tariffs are a tax. The GOP, tariffs are a tax, trade wars are bad, we're for free trade. You saw April until, for the most part, the president blinked both on Fed Chairman Powell, which I'm glad, as well as the China trade war. Then the markets recovered somewhat, but it was on for the worst month since 1932. And that's not even considering what's going on with bonds, where there has been an incredible lack of confidence in the U.S. dollar and U.S. investments.
Robert Wolf is right that this whole thing is a manufactured crisis, not a global emergency. Just a guy with no plan, making it worse every time he says anything about it. He caused the mess, then he escalated it, then he turned around and said, I got it all covered. He does it because too many people have accepted his obvious stupidity and chaos as normal, while these yes men call him a genius.
And in a way, this is like a training center, right, for what we're trying to do, which is jobs and great salaries. These are great salaries, too.
Right, it's exactly. So all those factories that you're bringing in because of your trade policy, we're going to train people in trade craft, bring back trade craft to America so that people can work in these factories with great paying jobs, and we're going to train them, and we're going to remake the American dream for all these people.
This guy's talking like we're about to bring back a factory boom and retrain all of America overnight. Yeah, we'll bring back tradecraft in a global economy where most of that work is already automated, outsourced, or obsolete. Yo, don't forget, Howard Lutnick here is the billionaire that told Americans that seniors who depend on Social Security wouldn't notice it if next month's payment didn't come through because his mother-in-law wouldn't notice it. There's no reason for him to even be in that room after exposing this much of an ivory tower policy.
But get this, we are also reporting today that a group of CEOs of the top American retailers, Walmart, Target, Home Depot, and Lowe's, had a private meeting with Trump on Monday. They had plenty to say, but there was one warning that stuck out. Empty shelves, they said. Empty shelves in American stores as soon as this summer because of Trump's actions.
So Trump met with these CEOs from Walmart, Target, Lowe's, and Home Depot, who told him to his face that his policies are going to lead to empty shelves. So for a hot minute, he softened his tone before going right back to playing tough guy on TV. Because he's a con man that's never had a clue about what he's doing. And the people that still trusted in him are running out of excuses to cover for his daily disaster report.
I honestly believe the president shouldn't be able to render opinions about monetary policy.
You keep repeating something that nobody ever said. No one ever said that Trump cannot have
We're having original thoughts here.
No, Scott. No one ever said that Trump can't have an opinion. The question is, should the Fed act based on that opinion? And I think it's just common sense, right? The Fed, it should be acting based on economic information and data, not anybody's opinion. Trump is not an economist, and as far as I can tell, does not even have a good grasp on how trade works, which is really problematic if he's going to then turn around and start telling the Fed how to do its job.
Thinking is like we don't want Donald Trump to have influence over the operation of the government.
I just
think it's wrong.
We don't want to have Donald Trump have influence over monetary policy. That is how it has worked.
So here's what went down. Trump panicked, then he flinched. That was right before lying about flinching, because he can't take that his weaknesses are being exposed. And the result is the potential skyrocketing of prices, these collapsing businesses, and executives now warning him of empty shelves. Calling him the great deal maker doesn't hide the fact that he has no economic policy, only some self-serving ideas to boost his ego. And the last thing that he cares about is that regular Americans are the ones footing the bill.